Welcome back, guys. Have you picked up an affordable budget welder recently, but your welding stinger just isn't cutting it? Well, stick around. I've got an awesome upgrade today.
Is a valued customer and eligible for debt and interest rate reduction on your existing credit card. To speak to a live representative, please press 1 now.
Here we go. This ought to be good.
So responding, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you for asking. I see that you are responding for the lower rates on your existing credit card account, correct?
I am.
Perfect. So for the qualification purpose, on which credit card you carry the major balance on? Would that be your Visa card or Master?
Master. You need the expiration date?
Yeah, the expiration date of the card.
Do you watch YouTube at all?
Yeah.
You like YouTube?
Time.
What do you,
I have time. Man, what I'm asking and what you are telling me.
Do you want to be in a YouTube video?
No.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Lund on YouTube?
No.
That's me. I got a YouTube channel. Do you want to be on it or no?
No.
Go into YouTube and type in Brandon Lund.
And then
He didn't want to go for that, did he? So a lot of times when you pick up these budget welders, they'll have issues with them. They got to cut corners somewhere, and a lot of times they'll cut corners on the hardware or the clamps. Or this welder here is an Anson. It's a 205, and I also have a 185. Both of those welders, the 185 I picked up for $209 online. It's a high frequency start TIG stick welder. It's got post flow. It's just an awesome welder, but it had some issues. Inside, the gas valves were leaking. It was an easy fix. It cost me $1 to fix it, but again, that was some issues that come with these budget welders. I'll put a link to that up above on how I fix that, but a lot of times they'll skimp out on like the clamps and stuff like that. So this one isn't that bad. You can see how it has a copper strap going to each sides of the jaws, but other times they'll just make things a little bit smaller and a little bit less of everything. You see how, look at that one, it's a lot smaller, a lot different design. This one you can see just has a little added step of putting some heat shrink on it to make it look nice and neat. This one doesn't, and as a result you can see it has some fraying around it. Well, just like the ground clamps, these stingers where your rod goes in also leave a lot to be desired, and that was one of my biggest complaints with that welder, is that when you go to put your welding rod in there, is that it just didn't feel positive. It didn't feel like it had a good detent to catch the rod, and it's just an inherent flaw of this. It just feels kind of gummy. It doesn't feel overly quality. So I got a fix for that. Both of these are rated for 300 amps, but this one has such a stronger spring pull, and that's because of that heavy-duty spring right there, so it just gives a nice positive engagement for your electrode. But this is where it really gets cool, guys. Check out this bad boy. That goes over the electrode holder, and that right there is 100% real carbon fiber. Now if you look, you can see it's got an American flag design in it, and this was sent to me by a company called Best of the Best Welding, and it definitely is a cool looking item. So let's take this apart and get it swapped out. See, if you see down in there, there's a piece of, it looks like steel that's pushing up against that copper. So there you got a dissimilar metal. There's no dielectric grease, which keeps things from corroding, put in there. And it looks just like a Phillips head screw that holds it in. And that spring isn't much to write home about. It's pretty thin compared to, look at the thickness and diameter of that spring compared to that spring. Just overall, all around, this is just a better clamp. Now I want to show you something now. It may not seem like a big deal, but it actually is. You see these stray strands that are poking out here? These are strands that didn't get clamped, that are broken off, and that's not good. So usually what causes that is when this wire, the insulation, is cut back, what'll happen is usually someone will nick the strands inside, and then when you nick the strands inside, effectively you have less strands carrying the amperage from this end here into the clamp. So let me just exaggerate a little bit. Let's just say I cut half of all these strands off right here. So now you effectively, if this cable, would just use a number, is rated for 100 amps, and you cut half of the wire out of it, and it's not connected to this clamp, you've effectively reduced the amperage carrying capacity by 50%. So, and not only that, it generates more heat, it creates heat, and it can help, and it can actually burn the other conductors and melt those back as well. So when you strip the sheathing off your wire, it's important to take your time and make sure that you don't, cut into your conductors. Make sure that they get put underneath the clamp. That's really important. And you can see there how, that's just a poor job, and that's what you get with some of these budget type machines. It's just, production. They're looking to do it quickly, get it done, get it out the door, and turn a buck. You can actually see one of the broken strands here on the table, and you can even see more broken strands down inside the clamp. So we will try to do a little bit better, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off this new, start fresh. So one of the things I try to do when I'm doing this is open, bend it a little bit. There you go. You see how I just exposed that silver gold down in there? That way you're not going to nick the conductors. I'm not going in all the way. I'm kind of bending it and then just piercing the insulation a little bit. Piercing it a little bit just like that. Go all the way around. I'm not sawing in. I'm not sawing into the conductors. I'm just piercing the insulation. Then I'm bending it, so it's kind of more like ripping the insulation away from the conductors. And there it is. And I did not do one nick on that wire anywhere. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some antioxidant compound on this connection so that my connection can be the best that it can possibly be. It says it guards against oxidization. Guards against oxidization, improves conductivity, and produces a cooler connection. So that's what you want to do. That's what I do anyways. Put a little bit in the end of your connector. You can't overdo it. I mean, if it makes a mess, just wipe it up. And I put a little bit on the wires. Work it in a little bit. Get it all mealed down into the strands. Work it in. Give it a nice liberal coat. Then go ahead and put it underneath your clamp. There, we just installed a new stinger. That easy. Wow. Yeah. That feels slick. I like it. Alright, let's fire it up and try it out. Well, let's get this thing fired up. So we are going to want to turn it over to stick welding, because we were TIGging the last time. And let's say we'll go up around 90 amps. We're going to use some 1/8 inch 7018. We'll just lay some beads. So make sure you got a good pair of welding gloves, a respirator. This is like 10 bucks, so it's super cheap insurance for your lungs. Make sure you get a welding helmet. We're going to pad some beads. And what's this? Well, I'm going to show you. So if you haven't seen the video to this, this is my homemade DIY fume extractor for welding, and I also use it for my motorcycles for sucking out exhaust fumes. So this was like 60 bucks. So for another 20 bucks, I made a remote control. How's that for cool? So you're not sucking the heat out of your shop, and you're not listening to the motor run. So when you're ready to start welding, you just, boom, hit it. Pretty cool, huh? And to do that, all you need is just one of these. It's just a remote control. So we actually use these for our Christmas tree and a lot of other stuff around the holidays. So we can have one remote, and we just plug this into the wall receptacle, and we come out of here. and come out of this with like a multi-tap, and we can plug a bunch of Christmas lights into it, and then we just have one remote and it turns everything on all at once. And it's rated for like 13 amps, so I mean it's got a pretty high rating, so you're not going to have to worry about burning it up. So that's all I'm using here. Your blower motor's up in there. I just got the cord slung down. It's going into this. You don't even have to aim it either. So when I press the on button, you can see it turns on that little red LED. Off, on. You can be in the other room and this will turn off and on too. So I missed my custom swing away seat. I'll put a link to that up above, but this is kind of like the next best thing right there. My mom got this for me for my birthday, and it's adjustable in height, and this is super, super comfortable. Let's get going. That's a big key when you're welding, guys. You've got to make sure you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, your welds are going to suffer because of it. Well, that's not good. Is carbon fiber electrically conductive? You see what's happening? So my welding plate is grounded, right? My welding surface is grounded. Watch this. I'm just going to touch the side of this carbon fiber handle to the side of my welding plate. Watch. Why is that doing that? That's messed up. I gotta do some research on this. Is carbon fiber electrically conductive?
According to Quora, carbon fiber does conduct electricity. It is not as good of a conductor as most metals, but if you build a structure with it, you will find that its electrical conduction can easily contribute to galvanic corrosion by electrically connecting dissimilar metals.
Well, it seemed like a great idea, guys. Yeah, that's a failure. We can't use that. Look at that. I mean, I just touched the side of that to the table. Huh. Well, you know what? Let's try something else, guys. Alright, let's take this apart. We'll try something here. Okay, so let's pull this off. Alright, let's try this. Here's my welding clamp, or my rod holder. Let's clamp the insulator, because this is supposed to be electrically not conductive. This is to insulate you from ground. So can we do that? Can we fit that in there? Okay, I've got this clamped in my rod holder. Let's see what happens when I strike an arc with it. Never seen anything like this. So my table, this surface right here is grounded. Right here, you see ground clamp. So my work surface is grounded. Typical to any fabrication shop you'd ever go to. I've got my stinger, and I've got the insulator clamped into it. Yeah, look. I better turn on my fume extractor. That didn't get thought through. So the glue's come undone from the heat, apparently. Well, that was quite the experiment, huh? Let's put the other rod holder on it and we'll pad some beads. Well, the good news is I do like my remote control welding hood, my fume extractor. Who would have thought that carbon fiber is electrically conductive? Carbon, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Carbon. I mean, if it's carbon and it's got carbon in it, it has to conduct electricity. It can't be an insulator. So, yeah, this doesn't make a good insulator, I mean, you can't even lay your stinger down on your work surface without a rod in it. You know, it's not gonna work. No. I put the old stinger back on. Let's just pad some beads. I told you I'd pad some beads, so we'll do it. We'll make it so not that the whole video is a waste. I just don't like how it doesn't have a positive feel to it. But I do like that I got a remote fan now. Here's a little tip, guys, that you just saw me doing. Because when you stop welding, you get burn back on your flux. You see how the outside is taller than the inside rod? Well, what that does is that prevents the rod from striking easy. So something that you can do is tap your rod while it's not in the rod holder on your work surface, and that'll chip back that flux on the outside, exposing the center core, and it'll make your restarts easier. And you can tell when it's ready to go. You hear how it has that thud, and then all of a sudden it makes a real sharp sound. The sharp sound means that the center electrode is already hitting the table. So I have a few passes under here. I got one here, and I got one over it. You can see I got a little bit of a problem here. That's where I kept having to restrike it, and so I got a little tiny wormhole right there. And there's another one under this, and then there's I think another one under this. I can't remember. And then this one. So, but to get better, you just got to keep practicing. You just got to keep going over and over and over, trying different settings, trying different things, and yeah, the more you do, just like anything, the more you do, the better you get. And for a lot of you new guys just starting out, if you're not sure what your rods need to be set at, well, go to Miller Welds. Here are all your processes. We're doing stick, so click on that. And what are we welding? We're going to be welding mild steel. And what do we have for a rod? 1/8 inch. 7018 is what we were using. 1/8 inch 7018 right there. Click it. Suggested amperage range 110 to 165. It says use less amps on thin metal, more on thick metal. Can be DC electrode positive or negative. Gives you all kinds of tips on using it. The position of the rod, it's an all position rod. Low penetration, low hydrogen, strong weld. And then it gives you a bunch of other stuff at the bottom. So yeah, for you guys just starting out and you're not too sure about what's what or what to set it at, or you know, maybe you just got some welding rods and they're not in the box because the box will give you the amperage rating. There you go. Little app to help you out. So I'm a little disappointed that that rod holder didn't work, but you know, I guess it's going to be back to the design board for someone on that. New videos every Friday, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If this is something that you like, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. If you guys are wondering what I'm working on before it even makes it up to YouTube, you guys can catch me on Facebook and on Instagram. I'll have the links down below. Please don't forget, like, thumbs up, subscribe. Take care, guys. I'll see you next Friday. Have a good day. Stay safe. See ya.